Good morning. My name is John Simpson. I am a shareholder, and in the spirit of full disclosure, I'm also the Privacy Project Director for Consumer Watchdog. I have two questions. Both of them relate to your robot cars, or driverless cars, or autonomous vehicles, call them what you will. First question. When legislation authorizing driverless cars on public roads was making its way through the California legislature, Google rebuffed an amendment that would have protected privacy by requiring that data gathered by a robot car could be used only for operating the vehicle and not for such things as marketing. Would you be willing to protect driverless car users' privacy in the future and commit today to using the information gathered by driverless cars only for operating the vehicle and not other purposes such as marketing without an opt-in that use by the vehicle's operator?
I can answer this one. Look, I think it's pretty early in the game with driverless cars and the uses that they could be put to benefit users, to be drawing to have a lot of rules saying thou shalt not do X, Y, and Z with the data. I think, look, that once we get these operational, the value can be, significant, and I think that, it's a reasonable thing for regulators to look into the uses of data that are developed in driverless cars, just like any other activity. But I think I think we took the position it's a little early to be drawing all those kinds of conclusions, which would, in a lot of ways, reduce innovation and our ability to deliver a great consumer product at the end of the day.
Thank you. Second question. After Consumer Watchdog learned through a Public Records Act request that accident reports involving driverless cars had in fact been filed with the Department of Motor Vehicles, Google acknowledged your robot cars have been involved in 11 accidents since testing began. The DMV considers the accident reports confidential. A Google spokesman called the crashes minor and said Google's cars weren't at fault. Of course, that's what any driver says when they're in an accident. It wasn't my fault. But we have to take your word for it and don't really know what happened because Google hasn't released the actual accident reports, which you could do. Will you release the reports so the public knows what went wrong, and will you commit to making all future accident reports public?
We have Sergey here, too. Do you want to take it?
Yeah.
Sergey is in charge of this project, so.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sergey Brin, our co-founder.
I'm actually quite surprised that you're a shareholder. As you know, Consumer Watchdog has been quite hostile to Google. I'm puzzled by that.
Well, we think that it's important as a public interest group that we speak out on issues that companies are involved in that affect the public interest. You're driving your vehicles and testing them on public roads. There's a great public interest in what you're doing, and when it goes right, that's wonderful. And when it goes wrong, we want to know why.
No, I think that's all fair. I'm just surprised you're a shareholder. But
well, why wouldn't I be? Then I get to come and speak and ask you questions. Plus, I've made money on this investment, which was all to the good. Soon I'll be taking my tie off and I'll fit right in Silicon Valley. In fact, maybe I'll do that right now.
Sergey, why don't you go ahead and answer his question?
Yeah, I can tell you all about the accidents. We submitted reports to the DMV, which is what the legislature thought was the best course of action. There were about 7 or 8 times we were rear-ended. Actually, if you want to know, we recently, in the past week, we got rear-ended again while being stopped at a light. And there were a couple times, once, I think, actually once, when one of our drivers was driving the car and accidentally rear-ended somebody. And I guess our biggest learning from the accidents has been that people, don't pay attention, even trained drivers. The one time when it was our driver at fault was many years ago, and we've since had a lot of training for our drivers. You're interested in the accident reports. I mean, I can tell you. I should note also, I can't remember the other 3 or so, but they were situations when the car was not driving itself. They were, and we were hit, I forget, like at a stoplight, somebody ran it, and we were sideswiped, a few things of that nature. Look, I'm very proud of the record of our cars, and by the way, we don't claim that cars are going to be perfect. Our goal is to beat human drivers, and nothing can be a perfect vehicle. So I just want to set that expectation. I'm very pleased that we've done as well as we have, and I think it's because we have really good safety protocols and really good safety drivers. To your question about the DMV reports, the DMV wished us to submit those reports to them in the private manner. If we were to disclose them, I can tell you what they say. I mean, they say, so-and-so, Mr. John Smith, rear-ended the car at such and such an intersection. We don't want to release those details of those because that is a privacy issue. They mention, typically...
You mean the person's name is a privacy issue?
The person's name, the car make and model, things like that.
Well, I could say redacting a person's name, but I mean the details.
That's true,
of
but the rest, I can tell you what the form looks like. It is the details of person A, person B, who is the Google safety driver, and then it's a description which we write what happened, like we got rear-ended. It's basically the summary we've already given you. I suppose we could give more detail, and we're open to that, but it's you're not going to learn anymore. I mean, it is still, you're saying you're taking our word for it. We have many responsibilities to be truthful to the press and our statements, to the DMV and so forth. That's not going to change. But the reports you're asking for basically say what we have already summarized, plus private information of individuals. There's nothing else in them.
So maybe you could finish up, and we need to move to our next question.
Thank you very much.
Okay.